We've talked about the Trump administration's series of lethal kinetic strikes on various alleged drug-carrying vessels before. In just a few weeks, the total number of killed has already risen to 87, as 7 more strikes have been conducted. However, the events surrounding the very first have become the most damning. You may have heard the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth gave the order, "Kill them all," after the very first strike failed to kill all passengers on the boat. But it's come to light that that is not entirely true. Hegseth, citing the flaming wreckage and fog of war, apparently did not know there were survivors of the initial strike, and citing his busy schedule, departed. The second strike was actually made at the discretion of Commander of U.S. Special Operations Command, Admiral Frank Bradley, after Hegseth had left, later confirmed when Bradley testified before members of Congress in a closed-door hearing. While a somewhat clearer story of the operation emerged, lawmakers seemed split along party lines as to how justified the second strike was. Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Republican Tom Cotton, said he saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat so they could stay in the fight. Drifting on the open seas amongst flotsam and jetsam is, of course, famously a position taken by our most dangerous enemy combatants. Senior Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Jim Himes, said what he saw in that room was one of the most troubling things he's seen in his time in public service, because the survivors were not in the position to continue their mission in any way after the first strike. But the troubling inconsistencies in the story don't stop with determining who had ordered the second strike or whether it was justified. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had originally claimed the boat was probably heading to Trinidad, but then later revised that statement to argue it would eventually make its way to the US. But in that closed-door testimony, Admiral Bradley also revealed that the boat was actually heading to the coast of Suriname. This is crucial, because Suriname is a transit country for South American cocaine, but a majority that flows through it is likely destined for Europe, not America, as claimed by the State Department's own report on international narcotics trade from March, meaning the threat to America was probably not there at all. Upon hearing this, Senator Cotton claimed the killings were justified because the people on that boat were part of Tren de Aragua, a designated terrorist organization, which just means the president can declare anyone a terrorist, and suddenly their murder gets the old rubber stamp of approval.
I declare
terrorism. If anything, this is the moment we should be paying the closest attention to, because the distance between lethal kinetic strikes on boats overseas and extrajudicial killings wherever the president wants is smaller than this administration seems willing to admit.